All right, everybody, welcome back. My name is Jake Wynn. I'm with Penn Civil War. We are doing live streams from across the Fredericksburg battlefield in commemoration of the anniversary of the Battle of Fredericksburg in December of 1862. I am here with my good friend Ryan Quint. We are on the southern part of the battlefield at a place known as Prospect Hill. And Ryan is going to tell us a little bit about the experience of the Pennsylvania Reserves, who are going to get about as close as anybody else during this entire battle with breaking Confederate lines and actually doing what they were supposed to do during the Battle of Fredericksburg. So, Ryan, tell us a little bit about the reserves.
Yeah, so it's good you mentioned that, because of the entire battlefield, the Pennsylvania Reserves are the only ones who have any measure of success. Right? No attack on Maurice Heights gets close. We talked about earlier at Sullivan Farm, those attacks get pushed back. 3 brigades of the Pennsylvania Reserves are the only unit in the entire Army of the Potomac that does anything successfully. So, what's their deal? The reason that they're so successful is because they're some of the most combat experienced soldiers in the entire Army. They had fought battles in 1861. They had fought battles in 1862. And in 1862 specifically, you're talking about the Peninsula Campaign, 7 days, Second Manassas, Antietam, South Mountain. These guys have seen some stuff. Now, that experience has led them to have some pretty solid combat readiness, but their numbers have dwindled. They're one of the smallest divisions in the entire Army, only about 4,000 men spread across their division. They're commanded by Major General George Gordon Meade. Meade is that one division that Franklin picks, right? Franklin's orders that Avery was talking about earlier says send at least one division to go forward. He picks Meade. Why? Because they're combat experienced. And so Meade will lead them forward. Now, if you look behind my shoulder, you will see a lot of woods. In 1862, what you try to have to imagine is a clear-cut view all the way down to the Rappahannock River. The attack launched from about 800 to 900 yards from here, and it's a clear shot all the way. And so as Meade's men are moving across that clear space, they're eating artillery fire the entire way across. So they're taking heavy casualties. A couple of things will aid in their advance, however, because again, looking over my shoulder, you will see the woods off in this direction. There's a finger of woods or a thumb of woods that jut out farther than the railroad tracks down beneath us. I should mention the railroad tracks because if there's a loud train coming by, you know it's behind me. So the thumb of woods will aid in the Pennsylvanians' efforts, and that's also what's going to allow them to advance a little bit closer to the Confederate lines, but still suffering very heavy casualties. Every single one of Meade's brigade commanders, all 3 of them, are going to go down. Commander Conrad Feger Jackson, Brigadier General, is killed instantly on the railroad tracks, shot through the temple and killed. Brigadier General Albert Lewis McGilton's horse is shot. He's pinned underneath the horse. Nobody knows he's missing, which I don't think says very much about McGilton's combat readiness or combat capabilities when no one mentions your brigade commander is missing. And then William Sinclair is also wounded. So brigade commanders are going down. Soldiers are going down. But the aid of the railroad tracks and the aid of the finger of woods allows the Pennsylvanians to get into close proximity to the enemy. The soldiers they are fighting against are A.P. Hill's division, about 10,000 men. So the Union Army's smallest division is going against the Confederate Army's largest division. But there was a gap in the Confederate line off to my right, camera's left, and that gap was undefended. So the Pennsylvania Reserves were able to get up into that gap and exploit the breach. And so the brigade of Maxcy Gregg, South Carolinians, are unaware of what's happening. Before they know what's happening, the Pennsylvanians were on them. Maxcy Gregg is mortally wounded. His South Carolinians retreat in confusion. And the Pennsylvanians will, like a dam breaking open, kind of spread in every which direction. And so as they come towards us, this is the brigade of James Archer, Tennesseans and Alabamians, and they start to take extremely heavy fire at very close ranges. We're talking 20, 25-yard firefights going on. But Meade has accomplished his objective. He has broken the Confederate line. It's the only success of the day, and if he can exploit that breach and send everybody retreating pell-mell, the entirety of the Confederate right flank is in the air. So success is at hand. It's about 12:30 or so, and for the first time, if they can exploit it, you can win the Battle of Fredericksburg, which is not usually a sentence said when the Union Army can win the Battle of Fredericksburg. And so this breach fighting occurs, and that's when we have Meade ride down to David Bell Birney and say, I need help. That's when you have Birney say, you're not in the same corps as me. That's when you have Meade scream at him that he needs help. And by the time that help does arrive, the 114th Pennsylvania, it's too late. Jubal Anderson Early's division of Confederates in reserve have counterattacked and pushed those reserves out. But this fighting right here, Prospect Hill, is extremely even matched. When we talk about Maurice Heights later in the day, you're going to talk about disparity in numbers of casualties. Here, it's much closer to 1-to-1 odds of casualties because the fighting is so close, the fighting is so intense. It's another feather in the hat of the Pennsylvania Reserves, but again, it comes at extremely heavy costs, right? The brigade commanders have gone down, extremely heavy casualties in the rank and file, but it does give Meade some credence, right? His star is rising as well.
Right.
He's the only general to have any success, and in a kind of a roundabout way, he's commemorated here. If you look again over my right shoulder, you will see a pile of stones in a pyramid shape. It is commonly called the Meade Pyramid, but in a kind of roundabout way, it's not actually to George Gordon Meade. The railroad company who owned the track put that stone monument there in the aftermath of the Civil War, basically as a tourist attraction, so that conductors could point and say, we are now passing through the Fredericksburg battlefield. However, since it's so closely aligned with Meade's positions, it was pointed to over and over again and say, that's where Meade was, that's where Meade was, that's where Meade was. And over time you have the Meade Pyramid. And so in a roundabout way, the only Union general to be even successful in one of the most lopsided defeats of the Union Army is Meade, is his Pennsylvania Reserves, and they do some serious work here, but again, at a pretty high cost.
Yeah, so I want to kind of get into it since we're at this part of the battlefield, and we're going to move further north to talk about Marie's Heights in just a bit. So I want to kind of talk about this. I think this is a good point, and you know your stuff on this section of the battlefield, to kind of talk about like what are some of the consequences of these failed assaults. Some success here, but then ultimately it's a failure. So how does this play into the whole Battle of Fredericksburg? So what does all of this mean?
What does it all mean? It means that for a brief window of time, Ambrose Burnside could have been a hero of the Union Army and a hero to the Northern people, but his attention had been diverted at this point. Remember at the beginning we had said that Burnside's plan is two equal forces leaving and attacking those Confederate positions. But since Burnside is overlooking the town of Fredericksburg, specifically from Chatham Manor, that's where his attention is. He develops tunnel vision. And so is there success down here? Yes. But the Army commander isn't aware of that success because he's not paying attention. William Buell Franklin will later testify to Congress that he regularly sends telegrams up to Burnside's headquarters that are going unanswered. Franklin says he telegraphs on the hour, every hour, asking for updates, and Burnside never answers. And so while historians generally hate what-if questions, this is a what-if question. What if Bernie supports Meade quicker? What if Burnside answers Franklin's telegrams? What if John Fulton Reynolds isn't playing with cannon down on the Richmond Stage Road? What if all of these people were doing their jobs instead of whatever else was diverting their attention? And so Meade comes out basically the cleanest of them all. Congress sees what he does, and Congress will laud him for those efforts. It's why in just a couple of months he'll be promoted to command of the 5th Army Corps. He goes from division to Army Corps in just a matter of about a month or two. As the Army is being reorganized, he gets that new command. And so he's being celebrated. He's being recognized for his efforts here, even though at the end of the day, it is an embarrassing setback.
Okay. Yeah, so thank you very much, Ryan,
Sure.
for your expertise and for talking about those Pennsylvania Reserves. Ryan, we kind of exchanged a little bit of a smile when he talked about December of 1861. For Penn's Civil War, we're really excited about another battle anniversary that's coming up in just a couple of days.
Yeah.
Probably a battle you're not necessarily familiar with. You may never have heard of it before. The Battle of Drainesville in December of 1861 was the first experience in combat for many of the Pennsylvania Reserves.
Yeah.
And so Ryan is kind of the expert on the Battle of Drainesville. So keep an eye out for some more coming from Ryan on the Battle of Drainesville and more about the Pennsylvania Reserves. And you're going to see on December 20th, the anniversary of the battle, a lot from Penn's Civil War about the Pennsylvania Reserves. So keep an eye out for that. Thank you so much for watching, and we have a few more streams coming from the Marie's Heights part of the battlefield. We hope you'll tune in for those. Thanks, guys.